for everything being contingent, you don't believe that there are outside truths beyond personal experiences because there are only two types of knowledge, right?
So are you suggesting that there's probably something out there that beyond what we observe is what you're saying?
Yep.
I mean,
Atagmatic
I think
knowledge is literally definitionally what.
Let me respond. I think that's logically possible that there's possibilities that there's something that's outside our observation, which is going to lead down to something being contingent again. So even then, even if there's something we haven't observed yet, it's going to be more likely that it's just a contingent thing based off our observation, based off empiricism alone, would just lead for me to just assume that whatever this thing is that we haven't seen maybe in the universe is most likely just going to be contingent also.
Okay, Clapz. You dumbass. Obviously, there's something outside of our view. You're literally arguing for God right now, so obviously you're arguing for something outside of our view. I did not need to hear that yap.
No. Yeah, obviously I'm arguing for something outside of your view, but you brought up something something seems to me something outside of God, that there's something else outside of our observable view. Right now I'm talking about the universe. So what proposition or premise are you?
I'm bringing up premise one.
Premise one,
that's, kind of how you're supposed to go at a debate.
That's nothing to do with God. So why are you bringing up God?
I'm not yet, though.
All right, so
you're the one who brought up God first at this point.
No, that means anything with it. No, I'm not bringing up God. I brought up that nothing. Okay. Anything that we haven't observed.
So, are you going to stop talking so I can state my debunk, or are you going to keep?
Yeah. You go ahead. Try to state that like very existing debunk. Go ahead.
Okay. You stated that everything we view is contingent. First off, not justified. Second off, tagmatic.
Well, that's why it's not a premise. It's not
causatic. I forget what it's called. Something knowledge. 1 second, I can figure this out.
Yeah, bro, forgot because it doesn't exist. But yeah, it isn't justified because it's a syllogism, right? This will be justified when we get further into the debate where I justify each premise. But right now, this is a syllogistic format. It's a proposition. So yeah, I'm stating the claim, which is going to then be further elaborated on.
Yeah.
But anyways, get this.
Atatic knowledge.
What type of knowledge?
Atatic.
Or what?
ATACIT.
No, I heard the first time. What would you define it to be?
Knowledge without experience.
Knowledge without experience. So like some type of intuition?
No. Intuition is based off of experience as well. Knowledge without experience.
All right, so I don't necessarily think that exists, but okay. What does that have to do with my argument exactly? Like what?
If everything's contingent or everything we view being contingent upon something else, there couldn't be knowledge that is outside of our point of views or outside of what we view in reality.
Why can't we just make a most likely or probable conclusion of something that's outside of our reality? Why can't that be the case? But because we can make knowledge, just like any type of other philosophy, like in terms of like metaphysics, so on. We can make probable conclusions based off the observable world that can point towards something probably most likely outside of that. Okay. But yeah, go ahead and continue.
How do we make a probable conclusion upon God? Let's say that. So, I'll give an example too, because I knew you don't understand my argument, so I don't know why you're trying to argue against it already.
Oh, that's crazy.
So, God is commonly viewed as aspatial, atemporal. You can state now if you think it's something different.
That could be...
No, okay.
Minimize this, no. That's a bicondition of him being God, sir.
Okay, so he's aspatial, atemporal, meaning that by what we know as existence, he is nothing. So, what is the difference between there being God existing, being aspatial, atemporal, and fucking there being no cup in front of me? What's the difference between those two set clauses of nothingness?
Okay, so yeah, so for us, maybe in terms of the observable world, we may not be able to view him. That's true. It could be kind of like, a cup of nothing or whatever you were saying. That may be true, but again, that doesn't mean we can't point towards a probable conclusion of that being the case. Which that's why
that didn't answer my question. So I'll ask it one more time. What is the difference between there being no cup in front of me as well, and then between God being aspatial, atemporal? And I'll give even further to this question. AKA, they're both nothingness.
No, that's not the case. They're both different in terms of dimensionality. One can exist on a different dimensional spectrum, while one is not dimensional spectrum. One can exist outside of dimensionality. One exists within dimensionality.
Okay. Once again, that did not answer the question because you misunderstood what I said. So, once again, What is the difference between a God that is aspatial, atemporal, aka not having the properties of space and time, and a cup that does not exist, aka not existing in dimensionality, so lacking the properties of space and time?
Yeah, I guess that's fine. They could both be aspatial, atemporal. That's kind of.
Yeah,
I
cool.
guess
So
I
what's
guess
the
I'll say
difference
there
between
wouldn't
them?
it be necessarily. I mean, I would say the difference would be that God is all powerful, but we're just going over like just like properties of their existence. I guess. I guess we could just. I would say yeah. There's no difference because they're both above space and time.
So there's no difference between there being nothingness of me and nothingness of God,
In terms of
being aspatial, atemporal, and the
like
nothingness of a
the
cup.
in terms of the lack of spatial and temporal qualities, then yeah, that would be no difference.
Then how do we or why do we define them as different terms?
What do you mean define them as different terms?
One of them I'm saying is the lacking of a cup. The other I'm calling God. Why do we define them as different terms?
Because God is all powerfulness being. One's a cup.
But you've already stated that they're the same thing existence-wise. So
I
why
didn't
do we,
say
when we're
there's.
talking about their existence, still define them using different terms?
Yes, I said existence terms in reference to them both being above space and time. That's why I said there'll be no difference there in reference to the lack of
Okay.
qualities
So
they
if
have.
I'm only
Let me finish.
talking
Let me finish.
about
Let me
their
finish. Let me finish. Let
existence,
me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. But yes, we'll
okay.
give them terms.
You
And
don't need to finish.
different
You
qualities.
obviously don't understand
Be
what I'm
all
saying,
powerful.
so I'll give a little different
No,
example.
see, just here's the thing. You're trying to do this little rhetorical thing or low tier
Nigga thought
gap
that shit was
session
rhetorical. Fuck
because
it.
in this server, right? In this server, there's a bunch of low tiers that are going to think you're rhetorical, but
Okay.
this isn't really. You're not really
Oh,
giving an argument. So can you actually give the argument that actually contends with what
Okay.
I said
So,
or not? Because you're just
like I'm going to
you're
say,
not
I'm
actually
giving a
saying.
new argumentation because, or a new
Yeah,
example because
just give
you
a new
cannot process what I'm
argument.
saying.
You're not going nowhere with this. So
It's not going to be a
let's
new
go ahead.
argument. It's going to be a slightly changed argument.
Oh, so
So
you're
the
saying,
difference between there being, let's say, no cup and there being no pen is non-existence when there is no existence between them. Neither are all powerful. So why would we define them as different terms?
you said what? Repeat that again.
What is the difference between the nothingness of a cup and the nothingness of a pen? Is there any difference at all?
In terms of there wouldn't be any difference in terms of what should we call it like the lack of qualities they have. That's what I said for the God thing. There wouldn't be a difference in terms of the lack of qualities they
So,
have.
why would we
There's a
define the
different
pen?
qualities they hold. Then that would be where the distinction would come into.
Okay, what different qualities do the nothingness of a pen and the nothingness of a cup have?
Okay, so do you agree that anything like a cup, pen, that these things exist as ideas, but they can be influential within the observable world? Yeah, I think you agree with
They
that
are
one.
ideas in the world,
Oh,
yes.
you took too long. So since these things have different influences within the observable world, these things can be two separate ideas, both outside of space and time, but have different influences within the world. That could be a distinction there. But we're going over the
Why is the
distinction of
nothingness of
the
something
qualities they
having
have.
two different
Spatial. No,
influences
you're
on
going to
the
me finish.
world?
Let me finish. Let me
You
finish.
don't
In
need to
terms of
finish. You
spatial
made a
and
claim.
temporal limitations, then yeah, I guess there wouldn't be a difference there
Okay,
because they'll
well,
both be.
I'm going to disregard everything you said after the
Yeah,
claim.
so you could.
So let's
Yeah.
justify
That's
the
just
claim
a
first.
session on your end, but
So the
yeah.
claim was that they still have different influences. How do the nothingness of two different things have different
I said they'll have
influences?
different influences in reference to the observable world. So when they
Okay.
are physical,
So
because
once again, what is the
non-physical things.
difference if they're just nothingness?
You said what?
What is the difference if they're just nothingness? Not talking about the actual physical spatial representatives.
No, that would be the distinct. Ideas are going to. That's why they're distinct. But if we're going over like, let's say obviously, like that's why I brought up the physical stuff. That's where you point out the distinction, how they can influence the world. That's why we determine or define different ideas at different distinctions, give them different terms and so on. But if we're going over like, the lack of qualities they have, space and time could be one of them. So that maybe in this case there might not be a difference. We could just say, pen and a cup of whatever. If they're both lacking spatial temporal qualities, they may have they're like they know have some similarities. So like I said for the God and the cup thing, but I said God, reason why we give God a different term, right? Is because he has extra qualities that a cup wouldn't have, like being a necessary being, for example. So are you going to engage with that, or are you just like going to just keep repeating yourself? You're not going nowhere.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that they actually, you know what? Repeat. I was distracted because my brother was talking to me. Fuck you, bitch, nigga. Okay. Yeah, I was sucking that thing all night. But
nigga, what?
repeat the difference between the nothingness of a cup and the nothingness of a pen.
Yo, chat, is this real? Anyways,
I don't think so.
Wake up. Wake
So,
up.
repeat the difference between the nothingness of a cup and the nothingness of a pen
yeah,
without bringing up the
I'll
physical
just do this one
representations
more
of those
time,
things.
just so you know, just so
Yeah, can you
for the audience,
make the yap less this time?
for the recording. So yeah,
Okay, well,
let's
it's
say the
not for the recording,
distinction.
it's for
Let me
me, dumbass.
Let me finish. That has so much order to it. But anyways,
Oh, yeah, my fault.
there will be no distinction in reference to like certain lack of qualities like space and time. So maybe there might not be no difference there, but they'll have differences, and we give them different terminologies based on the impact they have within our observable world. And that's what I said for God.
Okay, that's all you need to say.
Let me finish. No, you're not going to yap.
No, you don't need to say anymore.
No, you're not going to like yap. I'm doing this for the recording, so I have extra specification on my end. So that means when it
Great.
comes to
You don't need
God,
extra
let me finish. God
specification.
being nothing. So like
You already answered my question how I wanted it
same
to be
thing for the
answered.
cup, right? Same thing for the cup, right? The reason why we give them different terms, right, is because
I'm
one
going
was
to
extra
disregard
qualities,
all of this
other
because it
term
has
was.
nothing to do with the
No.
question
You don't
I
have to
asked.
regard it. You don't have to regard it, but it's on the
Okay.
recording, so I would just like pull off that
Okay,
judgment.
it's also on the recording that I'm disregarding it.
Yeah, you can believe that, but say just because like you're low tier, you're not really familiar with actual comprehensive arguments. It's cool though.
Clapz.
It's
Yo, Clapz.
nothingness, anyways. Nothingness is
Okay,
just
so
lack of.
yeah, I'm a low tier, so I
Nothingness
don't
in this purpose
understand
would
when
just
I'm
be lacking
asked one
space and
plus
time, bro.
one. I'd say that the
Bro, that has so
concept
much
of
order to it. Are you gonna actually
mathematics
give me arguments
is
or what?
this, and this.
Yo,
So
Clapz.
You said
you
what?
already stated, Maury, shut up. You already stated that just between the nothingness, there is no actual difference. Now I go into asking, then how do we define them as different terms? Then this is where you answer the question. Yep.
All right. Yeah,
Can you shut
we
the
can go to
fuck up?
conclusions. We can go to conclusions.
Yeah,
Already
I'm not done speaking. How
Yeah,
is he gonna get upset with me when I talk
I
over
don't care
him, but then
if
he
you're not
talks
done
over me?
speaking though.
It
If you're not
doesn't
engaging
matter.
my argument, it's probably fine for me to cut you
Hey,
off. Let's go
Clapz,
to
I
conclusion.
wasn't done with my argument, so
Oh
you have
no,
no idea if I
that's
engage
mad
with
crazy.
yours.
But like, yeah, let's just go to conclusions because it's not really
Okay,
getting.
so I wasn't done with my argument, so why would I go to conclusions? Come on, let's use our brain a little more.
If you're repeating yourself, it's not gonna like do anything for the
Good thing
debate.
I'm not repeating
We're
myself.
supposed to like be pleasing the audience. You're not really pleasing the audience right now. But, like,
Good thing I'm not repeating myself. You said that the divination between the titles of them would be based off of what they are in real life, right? So we would call the nothingness of a pen and nothingness of a pen because we know what the pen is in real life. But that wouldn't actually work in this instance because, like you said, they are the exact same thing when referring to nothingness in properties, right? And is any part of that, like I said, wrong? Okay.
Now explain why for God there would be a difference between God and the nothingness of a cup or whatever. That's why I explained. Oh yeah, some qualities there's gonna be distinct terms for them because of either extra qualities or lack of qualities. Within this instance, God, the nothingness of God, quote unquote, and the nothingness of a cup, quote unquote, there will be a distinction because of God's extra properties. The cup wouldn't hold these same.
You realize you lost already, right?
That nigga did not lose.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Clapz, I literally said that your point wouldn't matter because of this, and then I asked you if I was right, and then you said, yeah, I was right.
What the
No, I
fuck?
said no. That's what I said. I agreed. All right, Duck, you
blame us.
But I'll just assume you didn't hear me properly when you said I was right, and didn't actually. Oh, you heard me properly? Okay, then you heard that I said that you were wrong.
Yeah, you can believe that. You can believe that, right? But I agreed to the point of where you repeated my argument, and I agreed to that. All the extra stuff that was not said, and if it was said, I didn't agree to that. So you can like misunderstand my agreement.
So
but you thought you actually got a win off that.
So you didn't hear my argument.
You actually thought he got a win off that. Yo, chat, is this real? Huh, that's crazy. Let's get this in the recording, like so fucking like a dumbass. Yo, let's get this in the recording. Wait, is this
I literally Clapz. I said you either lost because you perfectly understood my argument, or I'm going to repeat my argument because you didn't actually hear what I said.
We can go to the conclusions.
And then
he actually did something with that. Hold up. This is actually embarrassing.
Okay.
This is actually embarrassing. Hold up. Yeah, let's go to conclusions. Wait, who's even?
Great. So I don't care if it's mod abusing. Take my model, get back in a day. So, right, like I was saying, I literally said either I won this point or you didn't hear me properly. How the fuck are you gonna over here be like, no, I heard you properly, but you didn't win the point. I just didn't hear the second part when I agreed to it. So you didn't hear me properly. I don't know why you're getting so upset about that fact. It's okay to mishear someone. I literally did it on the last point. But, like I said, right, Your argumentation was that we titled these things as different, or we titled the nothingness of a pen and the nothingness of a cup different because of what the aspects are on real life, right? But if those aspects didn't exist and we said the nothingness of some random bullshit word and the nothingness of some other random bullshit word that doesn't have aspects on real life at all, they could still be titled different things even with no aspects on reality, showing that there is knowledge outside of our own perspectival views or what we observe in our experiences, right? That would just prove that there's a typic or whatever it's fucking called again. I don't remember this name. Atatic knowledge, which would then prove the existence of what you're arguing that everything is based on, or everything is. Damn, I do not be paying attention enough. Everything is contextual or contingent upon something wrong, because there's knowledge that isn't contingent upon anything.
Yeah, we could stop. We could stop right here. You can go ahead and mute up because that was some ass. But anyways, so let me actually just we could just break this down. We go over this shitty argument he was giving. So when it came to the concept of a nothingness of random things, yes, I said the distinction. Reason why we give these things different terminologies is based off how they do things within our observable world. That's why we give them terms. These ideas are based off what they do in the observable world. But let's just say we ignore all that, right? If we just look at them purely, just as just mere concepts, there will be no difference, right? Because they'll just be lacking certain qualities, which is fine. That's cool. Let's say the reason why that wouldn't matter within the context of God, which was the original analogy he gave, nothingness of God and nothingness of a cup. God has extra qualities. That's crazy. God has extra qualities, which makes him a necessary being. So this wouldn't even matter. But then he came to the conclusion that there's things outside of what we observe, which is cool. I already said earlier that there could be some things outside of what we just normally observe. But I said they're all just going to lead back to a contingent thing. And I don't think he knows what contingent being means, so we can get into that. But this all leads back into something being contingent. I believe everything is contingent, and I explain why that. Oh yeah, even if we don't have knowledge on it or have seen certain things, that we can still lead to make a probable conclusion on it. Just I gave that's why I listed different philosophy. That way we can come to a conclusion on things that we might not have observed. And again, I already told him this stuff just doesn't logically follow. It just don't make no fucking sense. You go ahead on unmute or whatever.
Okay, great. So everything we view as contingent. Premise one on. So now you're trying to change your premise one to saying that everything is contingent except for God. Whatever, that's fine. I can argue against that too. So you stating that everything is contingent aside from God, what would be your justification for that fact?
Okay, one, right? So I don't know why you said I changed it. Even in my syllogism, right? I state that it will point towards a necessary being God. So I don't know
everything we view is contingent. That's why I said you changed it, because the word for word statement is different from what you're now saying it is.
Do we view God? Oh, okay, then retard. So everything we view within an observable world, right? Retard will be a contingent being, retarded nigga. So that yes, that would be a reference to God. That's why I said they'll point towards a necessary being. Huh. Low tier ass niggas. But anyways, the reason why we right? Because that's what I define God to be. That would be my justifier for not applying to him. Because his definition, I would give his analytically would be all powerful, right? Which would be a byproduct. A byproduct of being all powerful would mean he would be a necessary being. Therefore, he wouldn't be a part of a contingent being. He wouldn't fall into that process. He would be a necessary being. Retarded nigga. Like what? Bro, actually thought he ate with that shit. Damn. No way. Time with
Yo, Clapz.
nigga.
Shut your lame ass up, the mighty duck, nigga. That nigga has
I'm glad. Okay, can all the background niggas shut up now? Okay. Can the background people shut up? Amari, I will mute you.
Bro. Go take your nap time.
I will mute you.
Oh, yeah. What's going on?
I will mute both of y'all. So,
that's so much more to it.
I'm glad we've already covered.
Losing this debate, by the way, that's not going to stop you from losing this debate. It doesn't really do nothing for you, but just go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, continue the argument.
So, I'm glad we've already gone past the fact that everything we view isn't contingent, because already I mentioned atatic knowledge, which is knowledge that exists outside of human experiences and outside of what we know, right?
You just begging the question.
Cool. We can view atatic knowledge like mathematics, which is defined as an atatic knowledge under what atatic knowledge is. I might be butchering that name, but whoever high tier you send this to will understand what I'm saying. Okay, so your first premise is already proven wrong. Now, you stating that God is the causation of everything would imply that there would need to be a causation for everything,
That's
which
not what I said.
requires or you have a causation, which would require your premise one to be true. But your premise one was already not true, so your line of argumentation cannot proceed after your first premises.
Okay, yeah, you can mute. But there's one thing I do agree with that you said. If you were to, in a possible world, debunk my first premise, I would do agree. This would destroy my whole syllogism. But guess what? That never happened, right? So yes, when you brought up that random knowledge thing, I said there could be some things that we don't have knowledge on, or so on, right? Outside of like that we might not have knowledge on, or whatever the fuck your definition was. That doesn't take away from it being contingent. What do you think a contingent being means, by the way? Just go ahead and explain that to me.
We require something to come into existence.
Okay, so what do you define that knowledge gap stuff? What did you define that to be?
Fucking knowledge that exists without our human experiences or without our knowing.
Okay.
Right? That we
So
still
look,
view.
we don't look. We don't need to experience something, or we might not have experienced something. It doesn't mean it isn't contingent. That means we might not have knowledge on why it's contingent, how it came to existence, so on and so forth, blah 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 blah. But I already gave. That's what I gave earlier. The probability, right? That points towards something being most likely contingent. That everything within an observable universe is going to be contingent. That's why I gave the probability. I explained it earlier. Even when we repeat that, I can. But this doesn't go against. This doesn't attack my first premise. No, you just begging the question. I already went over this random yap session. I don't think beating debaters are feats. Yeah, word. Pronunciation right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have no feats. Let's go. Okay. So,
No, it's about the debaters.
everything we view being air quote contingent upon something, you're trying to outside of human experience or outside of what we experience, all that fun shit, doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't contingent, right? I have that correct?
Yeah, sure. That's like a way.
Yeah, but okay. Did you hear
It
everything?
is.
Not a shit. Why did you say after?
Yeah, sure, and yes are the same thing. I'm saying yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure, has a certain of uncertainty
Yeah,
to it,
sure.
but okay.
Because I didn't word it exactly the same way you did. But I'm saying yeah, sure, because that's another way to put it. But anyways, you can go ahead do that instead of trying to like move on to random points because you know you're losing. But yeah.
I'm
That's a
losing.
great.
Interesting.
Do you realize you lost and want to see now, or what?
What is your higher what's your argumentation for there being a high probability to something always or everything having a contingency to it?
What the fuck was that?
Just because of that laugh, I'm taking back my question. So you find God as being aspatial, atemporal.
That's not how I
Is there
define it.
any strict? Okay, how do you define it then?
Yeah, I say I would define God as what should we call it? A necessary, all-powerful being.
Okay, would you
The
think a
bottom part
necessary
of
or
would be.
all-powerful being would be aspatial, atemporal?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I wouldn't define him that way, but I do agree he would be above space time. Yeah.
So you believe that God's omnipotent?
Omnipotent. Yep.
Okay, so do you know about the debunk to omnipotence? Yeah, I'm gonna use the basic shit, obviously.
Oh, this is crazy. Let's
I'm using the
get
most common
into it.
argument because the most common argument is the best one.
Yeah, this is crazy, chat. This is gonna be a legendary battle. Might cause me just a little bit of trouble. Anyways, yeah, you go ahead and give your argument.
Would you lose?
It's gonna be the rock analogy or whatever.
Who would you lose?
Yeah. The rock analogy. Come on, you know the argument. It's the most commonly used one to debunk omnipotence.
Yeah, it's kind of shit, but yeah, you just give it. Just say it. Say it for yourself.
Yeah, just stick it in.
If being is omnipotent, could they create a rock they can't move? Because all powerful would mean they can do anything, including creating this rock. But if they could create this rock and not move it, then they wouldn't be all powerful. Yay.
All right. So the problem here with that argument, right? One, there holds a presupposition, and two, there's also like another way to view this, right? So one, the presupposition is that omnipotence has to necessarily operate outside of logic, right? I can grant that God is what should we call all powerful or omnipotent under a logical view that God can do anything logically possible. I could just grant that, but I didn't grant that, but you're just like presupposing that it can be the case, so you can just like ask that later. But two, right? I don't see the problem with
I
God.
think now's a really good
Let me
time to
finish. You're
ask
gonna
that,
like shut
though.
up or whatever, right? So I don't see the problem with God, somebody who's omnipotent, falling under a dialectic system, or for some type of dialectic that like allows contradiction to be truth in this sense of somebody being all powerful.
Why is that?
Yeah, is this real? All right, yeah, because if somebody's all powerful, right, they can do anything. I would think it would most logically make sense that dialectism would apply within this sense that allow contradiction to be true.
Whatever.
Anyways,
That is a argument.
Let me fact that real quick.
Light would get a.
It is an argument.
Yes,
It is
bro.
an argument.
I'm gonna get beat up on that point.
So, right, they're all powerful, okay? You think God's all powerful, and where do you think he would be aspatial, atemporal? Goes back to a question I've asked you previously.
And how did I answer that one before?
Literally, you said yes one time, other time you didn't answer, and you just said I didn't agree to that.
Let's go on with that yes, right, buddy?
Okay. So you think God is aspatial, atemporal. How is an all-powerful being able to be defined by a certain tier of existence?
What do you mean? A certain tier of existence? Like what? Because when I ever give him a certain
being able to define as aspatial, atemporal.
And aspatial and atemporal are just a lack of qualities. That isn't giving him a certain tier. That has so much order to it. No, it isn't. It's just a lack of qualities. Aspatial and atemporal are just a lack of space and time. That is not giving him any type of tiering. Who let this man eat? No, that's crazy. Bro doesn't even know his own terms. That's crazy and stuff. But yeah, that isn't like a tiering, right? I'm not placing some type of tiering. And even if hypothetically,
tier his
right?
existence. His existence is nothingness.
We go proof by contradiction, right? Even if I grant that point, just because I give him a tiering so my mind could comprehend God, that wouldn't make it true in actuality. But even then, yeah, that doesn't really do not much. This is kind of like going to that infinite yap where you try to like keep giving arguments after like we went went over all of them.
So like, it's an existential tiering, like I said, because if he's aspatial, atemporal, like you said, he would be nothing, which is classifying him as a certain place, which would be nothing. So now I'll go into the hypothetical.
I never said that, by the way, but go ahead.
That's I just said that.
Yeah, no, you said I said it. You said I said being above space and time means you're nothing. That's not. I never claimed that. You were the only one saying that this whole debate. That's why I said quotes.
Okay, that's fine. The record bot will hear that.
Yeah.
If you said it or not. So.
Yep.
Now we'll go into your hypothetical of that could just be what you believe and not actually what it is in truth, right? If it is a certain place or limiting him to a certain place.
Yeah, but that's just like another way to interpret it. That's not that main argument. It's just like a that's another way to interpret, like another possibility, another interpretation, not that main argument. You don't got to go over that. I just said that I never placed a tier, and atemporal doesn't equal putting him on a tier. So you could just make over that.
Clapz. Here's the thing, Clapz. But if I do debunk that main argument, then you get whoever you're going to get to judge this. And to say, oh yeah, he won that first argument, and I didn't go over the hypothetical, you're gonna be like, oh, he didn't debunk that. He didn't debunk that. He didn't win. Oh my god. Okay, so I do have to go over the hypothetical.
He's not debunking the first one. Who does this man think he is?
No.
Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I think he got beat up on
the hypothetical.
So.
Sure. So.
Yeah. You've been losing this whole debate, but yeah, keep going. Like, is your ego just hurt, bro? Like, I'm not that ass. I'm telling you, my nigga. You cannot be this broke.
You really are, though. You are, though.
No, pretty ass. Who got high diff by time? Time could never pull that shit off on me.
Didn't he beat you?
But anyways.
Didn't he beat you like a week before I high diffed him?
You know, that was
you kind of forgot about that.
I got way better
so,
you could literally ask anyone.
Okay, and you got way better since that. I didn't get way better since that. I'm the exact same skill, and you can't beat me. So,
I made inferiority to time to this day.
Tell me you don't.
Clapz. I literally just said I was the exact same skill as I was when I high diff time. You saying I'm an inferiority to time is something I agreed to right before that, so I don't know why you're acting like it's an insult that I would take offense to.
So you're garbage. That's what you're saying. Oh, you
Yeah,
might, you
Yo,
might,
sure.
Clapz, you want me
you
to
might
tell
as
your
well
daddy
this for
time? Like,
debate.
If
that?
you think below time is garbage, that's fine.
That was
I guess I'm
time.
garbage
That was
then.
time before he even got good. If you're still below that version of time, at this point, man, you might as well just delete this app.
Yep,
Which is
I
actually
guess.
the best
Clapz, you
decision
want
you
me to
could
tell
ever make.
your daddy time? You said that or
So,
what?
debunking your hypothetical, you
Let's
stated
go.
that that is just what you could see God as, and not the actuality of what God is. But stating that as an actual argumentation that can be taken as valid would just be stupid in nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the entire point of a debate is arguing between our two opinions and our two viewpoints.
Oh nah.
If you're trying to argue, oh, well, my viewpoint could be wrong and it could actually be this, and oh, I can't define it any further, then there would be no point to an actual debate because, you're not trying to find a truth value between our two viewpoints. You're trying to stick to your viewpoint and that's it, right?
Okay, so here's the problem with that. I'm not at all saying that, oh yeah, it's possible, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying that that's another way, oh yeah, we were to place a tier hypothetically, oh yeah, for God, that is like some type of tier outside of just our observable existence. I'm placing that tier so I can grasp it, right? As we, obviously God's above space and time, being that we cannot comprehend. I would want to place some type of way so I can understand him better. So it was to place another way for me to understand him better that isn't like saying, oh yeah, it's possibly that's wrong.
Clapz,
It
how would
probably
you
is
understand
wrong,
me
but it's just
better
a
if
way
you
for my
can't do
brain
that,
to
man?
understand God.
Bro, can you mute the little?
Repeat what you said the last 5 seconds. Amari started speaking again. Amari, you do
I'm
that
saying
again,
that,
I'm
like, oh
muting
yeah,
you.
I'm saying it's just a way for our mind to understand the concept of, oh yeah, just type of higher being. I'm not saying that it's like some type of possibility. It's just like another way to view, oh yeah, this quote unquote tier place that never happened, by the way.
Okay,
But I don't know why
so
you continue this.
if God would be of that tier, there would be no way of further arguing this because he would not be able to be thought of or discussed in any sort of way. So I'm going to disregard that for the point of actually having a debate or having a dialectic.
Wait, how? How? Please explain that.
Because
if
if
I'm
it's
placing
beyond a tier, if our conception is limited to this point and he's beyond that, then there can be no way of actually having a debate or something about this person because we cannot perceive him at all or think of him or anything or theorize none of that.
I disagree with that, right? Just like that's why I brought up earlier. There's multiple philosophy that go over things beyond our observable world. Yet we can come to conclusions based on some type of inductive, which is why that's why I gave the syllogism that made it most likely the case that
Yeah, but
it does exist.
those
We don't
realities are
gotta
going
need to
beyond
know
our
all these things.
Hey, I'm interjecting because I feel like this is debunked at this point, right? Instead of
Yeah.
the yap.
What?
So, right, there are things that are beyond our perceivable world that we create theories upon, but there's nothing beyond our thinkable world that we create theories upon, because it would be impossible to create theories upon something beyond our thinkable worlds.
No, that's why you know what variables are? We place some type of variable that we can understand these things. That's what variables are. It's a replacement of something we can't understand or we don't know of. So we can have some type of variable or some type of notion of God that where we could grasp this idea, but at the end of the day,
Yeah, and that would be the notion of God that I
outside.
would be debunking, because the other, or what you think would be true God, or something that, or not what you think, what
What?
could
So you're
be
trying
true
to
God
debunk
as
the
a
variable?
possibility would not be debunkable because it would not be thinkable in any aspect. So there would be no
Okay, so you
point
have
to
no.
having a debate.
Okay, cool. You have no contention. All right, that's nice.
Okay, so there would be no point in having a debate. So the
No,
debate
no,
would
no. There's
be a
not. There's
concession
not.
on both
I mean, you should have
parts.
thought about that a long time ago. But what this seems to me, guys, this is a concession. Yo, chat, is this real? All right,
Like I
Yeah.
said, a
Brawler, go ahead.
concession on both
Brawler,
sides
go ahead and drop
because
this. Go ahead and put
I
this in the
couldn't think of
server.
it. Okay,
No.
Clapz, like I
You
was
can think of it,
saying,
but yeah,
this
but you
would be
already
a
engaged with
contention. Okay.
you already engaged with the debate. So you're gonna say, oh yeah, there's no point in having this debate. Yeah. That's concession. GG's. All right,
Yeah, a
wait.
concession on both sides because it wouldn't
There's
be
no concession
thinkable
on
for
both
either
sides.
of us.
No, there's no because I already explained it, right? You just
Are
you
you?
little monologue. So I'm gonna let you believe it that way when there's already a truth that already established. So you can believe
So
like, oh, we
I
can't have
can
this
restate
discussion.
why,
We
if you want to
can't agree.
proceed with that idea, that it wouldn't be a concession on both sides, right? Or what am I fucking saying? I can re-explain why, if you want to continue with that idea, it would be a concession on both sides. And
Just
I
go
will,
ahead, dude.
because
Go
I know
ahead.
you're not going to agree. So, right, my explanation for why it would be a concession on both sides is not because I cannot think of it or grasp it with any theoretical or ideas. You also cannot think of it or grasp it with any ideas at all. So we cannot have a logical discussion between us two on whether God exists or not, because we're not thinking the actual grasping of what God would be. I used air quotes when I said God there.
Okay, so how does that have anything to do with the variable I placed?
Okay, the variable, I'm fine with the variable. I can debunk the variable because it's something that our minds can actually grasp and is thinkable of. I'm not fine with you trying to use an argument take on unthinkable.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead, try to debunk the variable because that doesn't make sense, right? The
Okay.
variable is pointing towards this idea of everything being like pointing towards this God that we can't grasp. I don't know how you're gonna try to debunk the variable, but go ahead.
The variable would be your aspatial atemporal.
The variable would be your aspatial.
I so if you
It's
need.
not interesting.
You want me to explain what I mean by that?
Wait, repeat what you said.
Okay, so the variable in this instance would be the max capacity that your mind has presented for this dialectic, which would be an aspatial atemporal God.
And just think of it this way, as in that this variable isn't something actualized. It's just a way for our mind to grasp it, but God still holds all the properties of unthinkable and everything. This is just a way for us to be able to understand it.
I don't think I need to re-explain my previous
No,
argumentations, right?
you don't have to re-explain whatever you said, but I'm
Okay,
just saying,
great.
if you try to find a way to do some ratty-ass debunk, it doesn't do anything, because the variable is a placeholder. But yeah, so what's going on? So what arguments do you have now? Like, what arguments do you have against?
Okay, so I'm going to semi-repeat what I said previously, right? Now I'm going to try and reword it so you can understand. By the way, that wasn't me calling you stupid, because you take insults way too easily. So, right, like I said previously, we cannot argue based off of the thing that would be beyond this variable, because this variable is the max capacity that our minds can come to an agreement upon, or that your mind can actually come into realizing or thinking of a descriptive tour. Okay, so, and then arguing for that non-variable, that thing past the variable, be a concession on both parts, because we cannot have a logical discussion about something that is unthinkable.
No,
do you understand why you can't have a logical discussion on something that is unthinkable?
No, we can. So we might not be able to grasp it or comprehend it to the exact level as we should.
We can't grasp it or comprehend it.
Let me finish.
We grasp and comprehend about it is that variable. So that's what we would have the discussion upon.
Oh, let me finish. Can you stop? All right, so that's why I give the syllogism. We can make an inductive case of something outside of our observation, just like any other philosophy. So even if this thing we might not be able to observe or comprehend at all, we can make a logical conclusion pointing towards something like this, which is what my syllogism did. Like right now, I feel like you're trying to do this thing where you're trying to like leave the debate now, find a way for us to end it. But yeah, we're not doing that. So you could just properly concede right now. Because already,
I'm literally arguing that you can't argue that because it would force a double concession. So I'm trying to make the debate not stop.
Probability of something.
Okay.
It's a probability of something. We don't need to
I'll re-explain this one more time because I don't feel like you're getting it no matter how much I re-explain it. But I'm going to hope that this time you do.
Yeah, all right. No, what? Just drop it.
Just drop it. Yeah, drop your argument.
No, they say you could just drop the argument because you're not really continuing what I'm saying, right? We can use induction. No, we can use induction to come to a conclusion that this can be the case. So, we don't need to get it to the exact level, just like how we can make an induction that illogicality might exist within our reality, for example, right? Hypothetically, or
basically, what I'm arguing.
I need to understand illogicality, right?
Basically,
answer that question.
So basically, you didn't ask a question. You made a statement.
Just answer the question.
You didn't ask a question. You made a statement.
Yeah. Do you think we can come to a conclusion that illogicality exists, but then need to understand or comprehend the illogicality itself?
I don't think we need to fully understand it, but I do think that there would have to be some graspable measure or metric of it that we have to discuss about. I don't think we can discuss about the non-thinkable metric of it.
Okay, but we can make an induction about to the conclusion of this.
We literally can't make an induction about it because it's unthinkable. Induction causes
that's what I said.
From
do you know
thinking.
What induction means? You know what induction means?
Yes.
What do you think induction means?
Coming to a logical conclusion with our information.
Okay, so with the information provided, with my syllogism, it would point towards the necessary being. Right now, you're trying to do this thing, this little yap, but I already gave why it would point towards this necessary being. Now just continue the syllogism instead of doing whatever this is.
Okay, I'll repeat my argument one more time. Because you interrupted me the last one more time.
Let me just show. Let me actually let him finish.
Okay, so trying to argue about the unthinkable is not possible. Yes, you're saying that we can make an induction about the actual grasp of this unthinkable thing, but that would only reach to a certain level where we put that variable, which in our instance so far would be a spatial being. So, like I'm saying, we can argue about the aspatial atemporal being, and if you want to continue the debate, which I know you do, that's what we would have to argue about, is the aspatial atemporal God. I don't think we can bring up this potential chance of there being a higher existential form of this thing that is beyond every grasp of thinking, right? Yes, we can make theories about something okay. What you're confused about right now, Clapz, is the difference between something beyond our capabilities of thinking and something beyond perception. You're thinking when I'm saying that it would be a double concession for both of us, I'm talking about something being beyond our perception. And you still believe that you can make theories about that, which I agree that you can make theories about something beyond our perception. But I don't think we can make theories beyond something beyond our grasping of knowledge or our actual understanding of anything intellectually, because it's just not possible to think of something unthinkable. Definitionally, that's not possible. So that's why I believe that would be an actual double concession for both of us, right? So I would like to continue arguing over the actual proposed variable of what you believe God to be, which would be an aspatial. If you do that, then it would, like I said, it would be a double concession. So I will now ask you, instead of letting you yap on your own, because I know that never gets anywhere, do you want to continue arguing over the variable that you propose for what God's being to be, or do you want to continue arguing over this unthinkable God that would cause both of us to concede this day and it to just end?
So, you think you can comprehend something outside of space and time?
What?
Oh my God.
No, do you think we could grasp something outside of space and time?
I don't think we can see it. I think we can think and theorize about it.
Okay, so that same logic applies to something unthinkable. We can theorize X. That, this thing, just like I said in chat, we can visualize and think that X equals unthinkable. Let me finish. We can think of X equals unthinkable. We can think of that. That's cool. Oh yeah, but we're not gonna actually be thinking about the actualization or the actuality of these things. Just like, something being above space and time, we're not gonna be able to comprehend it to that extent. The level we should be able to view these things. So that's fine. So just like how you right now, we could just make theorizations, make arguments leading towards this thing. We could do the same thing with something unthinkable. Like we could that doesn't really do nothing, but yeah. Yeah, I just saw his bio. He's a Christian. They'll be for him. But yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that had W or right there. Hopefully you defeat.
I'm sorry.
What I said.
That was fucking funny. You're trying to state that we can add a variable to an unthinkable, like playful form. So something beyond our actual perceived theorizations of where it exists in reality, and we can label it as X, or in our instance, you're trying to label it as God, right?
Yes, that's fine.
But if it's unthinkable, we can't come up with any further theories beyond the thinkable portions of it. Right?
No, yeah, we're not able to come up with theories beyond it.
The farthest theory that we can come up with it is aspatial, atemporal, as said so far.
Yeah, but again, aspatial.
So we couldn't argue about it beyond that.
We'll say again, aspatial, atemporal is going to be something else we can't comprehend. Again, even though these are things we can't necessarily comprehend.
We comprehend it. We can think of theories about what aspatial atemporality is. We just can't see it. Like I said earlier, you are getting not being able to perceive something and not being able to think of something as confused.
We can use a variable, right? We can use a variable. Just in a way so we can understand God is above space and time. That we can just go over that. We can just use that. We can just use that. That's fine. Or do you have any conscious or any debunks to your syllogism now?
Okay.
I can't do it anymore.
No, let's not make this take too long.
Can we mute this little fucking kid, bro? I hate that nigga voice so much.
Nigga want more.
That's because you're black.
Wait, you hate his voice, but you're fine with mine?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Bitch, I
5,
sound like a
1.
fucking robot. Oh, nah, bro, just doxed. Okay. So for the theorization, I'm just going to proceed using the aspatial temporal. If you don't agree to it, what the fuck ever, my argument's still there. So using the maximum thinking of, or the maximum theorization we can actually use in a dialectic being aspatial and temporal, using that would then state that God cannot be the causation of everything, because we actually theorize that there are other things that, or an omnipotent thing, right? The omnipotence debunk would then come back into effect because it could be theorized and be thought of that's
You already
the
dropped
actual
that,
limit
nigga.
of
Why
him.
are we back here?
No, I'm dead ass saying the same shit. I don't know why he was trying to use that argument. Like again, I
We're
don't know why he
back
was trying
here
to bring up
because the
mathematical reason
argumentation that he used to try. Okay, let me explain to the chat and you, I guess. We're back to this point because the argumentation he tried to use to say it was invalid can't actually be used. That's what the whole dialectic, not from that point that you're remembering, has been me trying to explain to Clapz that titling this thing as an unknown being is not possible to have dialectic because blah, 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 blah. Right? So we're back to this previous point because we've already explained that the max limit of this dialectic for God's power would be something logical in this right here, right? So if we go back to thinking God as something logical and something that follows our strands of logic, it would go back to the omnipotence debunk, because following our strands of logic, he cannot be omnipotent to this degree.
Yeah, you're still not tracking. So again, you're even with applying this a variable for us to understand this variable isn't something actualized. You're making it seem like, oh, we're limiting God now. Again, everything that I said prior about him being unthinkable.
For this dialectic, we are limiting God.
No, that's retarded. That's the most you have. That I sit there and think about what you just said. Oh, we're gonna limit all powerful being retarded. All right, but now, like I was saying, right? That's what I said earlier. That's why I clarified. A variable is a placeholder so we can understand, but this thing will still hold all those same qualities. But we just have it as X, for example, so we can visualize it, understand it as some type of identity, because we're not gonna be able to comprehend God. So I don't know, like that.
And
That was the shit.
once again, going under what our placeholder is, my debunk stays valid. Trying to argue what our placeholder isn't, going beyond our logical theories and what our minds can actually think of and grasp, is impossible for a dialectic. So either now my debunk goes through, you come up with a new debunk, or my debunk goes through, you come up with a new rebuttal, or you fucking lose the point. Those are the three options now. Are you going to open door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? Let's find out.
Really hit that dealer type shit.
Okay.
But if it's like an iPad kid,
Bro, can we like this nigga please?
What were we saying?
Okay. I was giving you 3 options, right? And the 3 options are either A, you first pick to lose the point, and God wouldn't be omnipotent for the rest of this discussion, but right? Second option, right? You come up with a different rebuttal than you've used this entire time. Or the third option would be that you choose to stick with this theorization of an unthinkable God and an actually classifiable God, and we cannot further go about this dialectic. And we both concede in the debate we're just
I know
in
what we
here.
could do though. I know what we could do. We can go to conclusions. We could just stay our conclusions towards the wreck, and we could just send it whoever we want.
Yeah, bro, like.
yeah, I think.
Bro, this nigga soul Rio thing or whatever. There's a fucking troll.
Yo,
yeah, we just say our conclusions towards the wreck. We can just like get this over. We don't really
conclusions for the whole debate.
Yeah, we can give our conclusions to the whole debate to the wreck.
Want me to go first or you?
You can go first.
Okay. So, once again, it's for the whole debate.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so a question I need to ask you, which will determine the actual formation of my conclusion. Are you proceeding, for your final debunk to my argumentation, are you proceeding to use the unthinkable God, or are you going to just be not contending that?
Unthinkable God or whatever.
Okay,
whatever.
That's what I thought. So my conclusion is going to be based off what I said previously in the debate, which will never be an unthinkable God. It makes it possible for a debate debate is founded upon what our knowledge is and trying to find a truth value from our two sources of knowledge, right? We cannot find a truth value on something unthinkable or something that is outside of both of our wellsprings of knowledge, right? So he would have to use something founded within that. The top thing that he's presented that is founded within that would be something aspatial atemporal or an aspatial atemporal God. So either he argues his thing, right, which would be an unthinkable God, which would then make it to where there's no point to having a dialectic or a debate because it's unthinkable, or he goes back to the point and just hasn't provided a contention yet, which would make him lose the point, making God not omnipotent, which would lead into other argumentations debunking the actual existence of God, right? Also, I think previously in the debate, I already debunked it, everything being causational. I don't know if I did. Judge can handle that, but yeah, that is my baseline conclusion on why it would be a double concession on both of our parts, because neither of our knowledges can actually withstand or withstand the being of God that he's trying to propose. And using just a variable to represent this being of God that he's trying to propose wouldn't actually work, because that variable would be something unthinkable. So far, I think we further that variable as x, and x would be the farthest existence measure that we can think of that variable to as, would be an aspatial atemporal thing. So that rebuttal wouldn't work either. So it would just be a contention on both, or a concession on both of our parts, based off of the actual dialectic. I still think that's based on and all that shit. But yeah, just based off of the premises alone, I don't think any of us won.
Okay, so now let me just go ahead and get my stuff. It's gonna be easy. All right, so I'm just gonna go over a few things. I sent down the syllogism and everything. When it came to the everything being contingent, everything within our observable world being contingent, he conceded on that part. After I explained how, whatever the knowledge thing he brought up, it doesn't matter how that we can still point towards something being contingent based off induction of our observable world. Even if we haven't seen certain things, we can just deduce that there's some type of causality towards this thing based off induction, everything we observe within observable world. So he moves on from that. He tries to get off this omnipotent paradox, his whole idea of a necessary being. That, the rock analogy. Where if he can't pick up this, how can, like, pretty much creating a rock he can't pick up or whatever. And I pretty much explained that he just follows some type of dialectic system. He said, okay. And he pretty much wanted to give an argument that, we can't really. He pretty much agrees with that instantly. But he pretty much then gives an argument saying that we can't comprehend God because this is something all powerful, blah blah blah. We wouldn't be able to understand him. I'm saying, just like other philosophy, stuff like metaphysics, which is something that exists outside our world. It's something outside our observable world. We can't comprehend it, but yet we can make inductions that these things exist. We can make inductions that these things can possibly exist, or make theories on these things. And I'm saying, the reason why I brought up variables is because, just like variables within mathematics, if x, for example, could equal 19, we don't understand what 19. We don't know what 19 is. We can't comprehend it at that point. But this is just like a placeholder, so we just know a way to visualize it. So we know, just like multiple things, so we know a way to comprehend it or how to speak of it or mention it, because we don't believe God could be necessarily mentioned within a sentence, because this is something unthinkable. So we just have placeholders like the word God, so we can be able to use it within the conversation or discourse. So yes, we can point towards something, even though it is unthinkable. We can point towards something with observational stuff that can point towards something outside of that. Which I give the syllogism for that, which I brought up multiple times, that we could just go over that instead, but he just doesn't want to. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And we could just end the recording here. I might not send it to anybody, but I might.
You yap.
Save it, because I would like to have it.
Repeat my argument.
Yeah. So,
that's crazy.
damn.
Crazy.
Yeah, Clapz, you can send that basically to whoever you want. I really don't give a shit. Also,